And the last one I said the next time I'd be recording would be in college. That wasn't true. And even after this one, I think I have at least one more idea that I can do before college. So, I'll see you then. Have a good one.
Hey, bud. I know, I'm sorry. It took longer than expected to get back. I know I haven't been here in a while. But before you say anything, look what I got. It's oat. Anyways, I thought it'd be a good idea for the two of us to sit down and have a little chat. Sound good?
In what seems to be quintessential Samuel fashion, it's been a couple days since I filmed that intro bit, hence why the hat's gone and the hair's different. But I guess to keep continuity, I have the same outfit on, so I guess it's fine. Not that I really needed continuity here. I don't know. Elephant in the room. Let's address that. I have been on a hiatus for about 9 months, maybe 10 by the time this video comes out. Not sure yet. Obviously, I went off to college. That was kind of the whole crux of the last video. I'm going to be alone in college. Might as well scare myself silly and hope that fear of being alone goes away. It wasn't really a fear of being alone. It was a fear of being lonely. Anyways, the first college hurdle that I was met with didn't even happen in August when I left. It happened months prior when I was supposed to select roommates. At my university, they have a roommate matching service, which is essentially just like Tinder, but for roommates. You answer a bunch of yes or no questions, and then they match you with other people who have similar responses. That way you can kind of get an idea of who you're potentially matching with before you get matched with them. Luckily for me though, I randomly bumped into my friend from like 5 years ago from before I moved at Chick-fil-A on campus. We were both on campus for this university tour thingy. It just so happened that we bumped into each other. He was like,
hey, I have 3 other friends and we're looking a room, but one of them is kind of not maybe gonna go to the university. So if he says no, the spot's all yours, buddy.
And I was like, oh, cool. Then I don't have to roll the dice on the lottery system. I'll take that spot. The friend ended up choosing a different university, so I took his spot. I knew my friend Charlie, and I knew I went to middle school with the other 2 guys that I'd be rooming with, so I figured it'd be fine. The other 2 dudes, Nico and Aaron, were pretty normal, so we didn't have a problem. So moving day comes, my family and I drive down to the university, we unload my stuff, I say my goodbyes, my sisters and mom cried, my dad didn't, shocker. But for the first time, I was on my own. And then immediately someone kicked a hole in the wall. The hole was comically shaped. Here's a photo. Evidently, while some girls on our floor were trying to go into the kitchen, the door handle just fell off, and some genius down the hall decided that they were gonna try and kick the handle back into place. So they kick the door swings, and it makes that handle-shaped hole. And then later that night, someone stole the door handle that had fallen off. Mind you, classes hadn't even started yet. This was the night of August 18th, which was a Sunday. The next day, we had our first day of school, and people were already breaking stuff. Regardless, that was a fun night. We got a nice group photo, and I can't put any of their faces in besides me and my roommate. So there's Charlie, there's me, and there's Nico, my other roommate. My other roommate's name is Aaron. The next day I actually have classes, I'm learning my schedule, I'm getting my routine down. Things were going great until about 3 weeks later when disaster struck. It's a regular day of school, we take a group trip to Walmart, we get back, I'm about to go to the dining hall, then my roommate Charlie decides that he's gonna make mac and cheese. What could go wrong with mac and cheese? There are like 4 steps, and it's not even the mac and cheese that you have to make in a pot, it's the microwavable mac and cheese. What could go wrong with microwavable mac and cheese? Well, you can forget to put the water. You can sure do that. Charlie opens the cup, pours in the cheese powder, sticks it in the microwave, and turns it on. He knows how to make mac and cheese. In fact, he's done it for 3 weeks up until this point. But somehow, he just, slip of mind, the water step leaves him. Do you guys know what happens when you microwave dry pasta noodles and cheese powder? Take a guess. Obviously, he's doing his very best to try and not get the smoke alarm to go off. Guess what happens?
Hey, Peach, can't make it to class.
This wouldn't have been as big as a problem as it was if we could properly ventilate the smoke. Unfortunately, our dorm's windows don't open. And in the mandatory safety meeting that we had to go to, if there was smoke and a lot of smoke. We weren't allowed to open our door because if we did, the smoke would get into the hallway and it would turn the smoke alarms on for the entire building. So we hotboxed ourselves on mac and cheese fumes. This is third week of college.
Dude,
It looks like dirt.
That fire alarm was going off for an hour and a half. Once the smoke cleared enough for me to open the door, I was out of there. That day, we used 2 full cans of Febreze, and the smoke smell stayed for about a month. Not to mention that the microwave smelled like smoke until I had to deep clean it because Charlie wasn't gonna clean it. We had 2 microwaves in the dorm and he was totally fine using the other one, but that was my microwave. So eventually I clean it and now I have it and it's in the garage and I'm gonna use it in my apartment when I go back to school in August. Next thing, the rest of September was pretty chill, but then Halloween rolls around, and because that's the first holiday that we get to celebrate within the dorm, we decorate. You know those color dividers that you put in binders? I may have allegedly put those in the lights and made it all spooky in the dorm. Not to mention, what's spookier than the Minions? After that, the rest of the semester was pretty chill. There wasn't anything too difficult. For my intro to engineering class, we had to complete a group project called the Duck Launcher Project. The goal of this project was to program a robot to follow a line to the pond so it can launch little rubber ducks into the center. But where's the duck launcher part? The duck launcher part is the part that we actually get to build. My group got together 2 days before it was due. We put our heads together and we made this. It may not look like much, but you know what? We freaking won. Out of all the groups in my lab section, my group is the one that got the most points in the 10-minute allotted time that we were allowed to test. And I have the certificate to prove it. I felt pretty cool for winning, and then I get back to my dorm and I hear from my roommate that he also won. However, a couple days later, my roommate posts on Instagram, and one of those photos is a picture of him and his group holding up their launcher. And the launcher looked very familiar. After we won, none of us really wanted to take the catapult home, so we left it there. So when he posts on Instagram and I see him holding my launcher, I think, there's no way. When I asked him about it, he said,
Yeah, man, my groups didn't work so well, but we found one just sitting there and it worked great.
freak yeah, it worked great. And as it turns out, Aaron's lab test time happened right after my test time. When they show up, they test theirs and it doesn't work so well. They see a random launcher sitting there on the table. Of course they're gonna try it, and you know what? It works. So they use that, and they win their lab section too. And let me be clear, he didn't do this maliciously. He didn't know it was mine. 2 days before test day when we built it, one of my group mates took it home, so I never brought it back to the dorm. So he never saw it. So when you think about it, I won twice. During my first semester of college, I took the Principles of Chemistry, Introduction to C Coding, Calculus 1, Encountering the Humanities, some required discussion class that you need to take for the honors college, and Introduction to Engineering. How'd I do? I got A's in everything except for Intro to C Coding. The actual name of the class is Engineering Analysis and Computation, but it's Intro to C Coding. Straight A's would have been cool, but it's coding and I've never done that before. I'm okay with that. My second semester is when things started to heat up a little bit. During my second semester, I took Digital Systems and Coding with MATLAB, which are the two next courses right after Intro to C Coding. I also took Calc 2 and the other Intro to Engineering class. The workload this semester was very heavy. I'd heard that if you're good at Calc 1, you're gonna be bad at Calc 2 and vice versa. I didn't believe them, and I still don't. Honestly, Calc 2 wasn't even that bad. Digital Systems was fine, but the labs were so bad. Not even necessarily because the labs themselves were difficult, but because the TAs who were in charge of teaching the labs didn't really do that all that much. In that lab, you use Xilinx's Vivado software paired with the Basis 3 board in order to synthesize circuits that carry out specific functions. The functions vary from lab to lab, and typically it's supposed to line up with what we're learning in class. Most of the time it didn't. And even when it did, the coding language that is used to design those circuits is unique to that software. So we, the people in the class, have no idea how to use it. So every week, me and my friend Kate were flying blind. It didn't end up mattering all too much because I ended with an A in the lab, but that was my least favorite class ever, specifically the lab section. All my other classes were pretty fine, although Calculus 2 wasn't bad until I got the flu and I missed a week of class. Upon returning, I had no idea what I was doing, and I wrote this on the top of my paper. I'm so lost right now. Please, Samuel, review Calc this weekend. I never want to be like this in this classroom again. I was really feeling it that day. Looking back, what I didn't understand was super easy. I just had no idea where to start because I had missed a week. Honestly, there's just a lot more to talk about in my second semester. Not only because I remember more of it. That sounds bad. Starting off with a banger, Ethan came to visit. Remember Ethan? The one with the big ol' honking thing from last video? Yeah, that one. One weekend, there were 26 people in the dorm, allegedly. Hallway was a little cramped, but they stayed out of my room, so I'm chilling. Once the weekend was over, there were supplies left over, so I got a bunch of free Red Bull. When March came around, my dorm community hosted an Easter egg scavenger hunt kind of deal with painted rocks. The grand prize was a Lego set, and guess who freaking got it? This guy. One night after we'd been studying for a long time at the library, my friend Hannah and I decided to take a walk for our break. We walked a little bit around campus, but we saw a sign for this place that sold churros on campus. We'd never seen it before, so immediately we made plans to go the next day. I spent way too much money on these churros. Shout out Martha at Churros and Cream. I filmed the churro review.
Okay, churro review, 10 out of 10. That's weekend. Licking on my who I'm licking a churro.
Up until that point, I had been pretty chill in all my classes, but finals were looming. They were coming quick. But before I get into finals, I need to talk about my second semester engineering project. As I mentioned earlier, all freshman year engineering students need to take both intro to engineering classes. First semester's project was a duck launcher, and second semester's project was called the Great Naval Orange Race. You and a group of 3 other people are tasked to transport an orange from one side of a university's reflection pond to the other. To transport the orange, you're allowed to make either a boat or a submarine. For the boat option, you have to sail around the outer ring of the pond, whereas for the submarine option, you're allowed to take the path that goes underneath the barriers directly to the finish line. The boats are completely self-guided, so once you press go for your code, it's able to guide itself along the course you have set for it. We named our boat the Orange You Glad, and in the beginning, things seemed to be pretty smooth sailing. The trouble with the boat came about when we actually had to build it. There were some disagreements within the team about the design and materials that would and wouldn't work, and ultimately that kind of led to the entire project being delayed right up until about 2 weeks before the project was due. It was kind of one of those situations where I knew that if I didn't take charge, the project wasn't going to get done. Eventually, the hull is completed and we receive all the parts from our orders and we get to build it. And once it's fully assembled, it looks like it'll work really well. Once we plug everything in and begin trying to code it, the microcontroller fries. We had no idea what happened, so we went to our engineering professor and she explained what the situation was. Apparently there's a difference between analog and digital servos, which we were unaware of. Because of the way that the analog servo was mounted within the hull, we wouldn't be able to remove it and replace it with the digital servo before the time of the race. So without a rudder, we wouldn't be able to steer after we let the boat go. Overall, not many of the group's boats actually worked, but typically the other group's issues were with the code that they wrote, not that they couldn't turn. The next day is the race day, we get there knowing that it won't work well, but we race anyways and we get to this point on our course before our boat continues its circular path. Even though it didn't work, we still showed that we worked on our boat, so we ended up getting a 94 or something like that on the final project. So no, second semester project was not a win, and in fact it was it was a pretty fat loss. But if you average out the number of wins I had over both semesters, that still comes down to 1 a semester, which means I took 1 win and half a loss each semester. I guess. Now that the Great Naval Orange Race is taken care of, back to talking about finals. Going into finals, I couldn't get all A's. I had already done the math, and I already saw that I was not able to get an A in my digital systems class, which I don't feel so bad for because my professor decided to leave 3 weeks before the end of the year and go on vacation and stop answering emails. So I feel okay for not getting an A in that class. But calculus and MATLAB, there was still a chance. And because I thought it'd be interesting, I decided to vlog my finals experience. So here you go. Hello. I really thought that I was going to record when I got to college. And the only editing or filming that I did while I was here was editing my final goodbye message to my parents. Maybe I'll show a clip of that. Am I going to throw up?
Am I crying so hard that I'm gonna throw up?
The last video I posted was Phasmophobia VR. I can't lie, after I posted that one, I was really hoping that one would do better. The first video that I posted was my AP score reaction thing, and it got 10,000 views. And then I post a Phasmophobia video and it doesn't do as well. I think somehow in my mind, I kind of tricked myself into thinking, okay, well, that work was for nothing. You loser. Which isn't the case at all. It has like 1,500 views. That's a lot of people. I don't know 150 people. I don't know. I don't have 150 friends, and that's 10 times that. My dad's calling me.
All right, you gonna meet me out there?
I can, yeah. As of right now, I like it electrical engineering pretty well. Like, yes, I'm in my freshman year, but before I got here, I had already completed the course requirements for the intro classes. So as soon as I started in the fall, I was already doing the electrical engineering stuff, and that's cool. That being said, my dad's here. I'm gonna pack up a little bit, and I will continue recording this later. Time warp until the next time I record.
Where am I? Ooh, I'm not gonna do virtual video. Where am I? Currently designing college. Currently, my watch has been broken for. I say it's been broken. The battery's just been dead. I hope. It's currently 9:57 p.m. I need to lock in for the next 2 hours because my exam is at 1, and I have part of a cheat sheet made, but I gotta fill it up with all the other information that I don't really remember. So, I'm gonna take medicine right now. I say medicine, it's medication. Is there a difference? I feel like medication's probably prescribed. I don't know. No, that's a prescription. I have to get a 100% on this final if I want to give myself a chance at getting an A. Oh yeah, by the way, I'm eating breakfast. Because less people are here, they've started like renovations around campus. It feels like the last episode of Sweet Life of Zach and Cody when they start like breaking down the ship at graduation. I feel like I'm about to go off to, where does Lennon go? She goes to Paris, and then she calls Mr. Mosby, like immediately. He was like, if you ever need me, call. Oh. Well, edit to what I just said. I just said, it felt like the Sweet Life of Zach and Cody. It's the Sweet Life on Deck. Sweet Life on Deck was a continuation. Did they plan to stop after Sweet Life with Zach and Cody? Okay, so after skimming, I should be locking in. What's the first episode of the Sweet Life on Deck?
Study oceanography on the ocean. I'm gonna study anatomy. Starting with her.
That's an interesting way to interlink shows.
Interlinked.
Okay, I'm gonna lock in now. Starting right now.
The update that I should have given after I did my exam yesterday. Freaking killed that exam. Yesterday, MATLAB. Cool. Exam was good. I got pretty sure a 92. I got to the last one. It had a table of values and I accidentally used xi squared instead of xi, and I took the sum of that. So I went to the professor and I was like, hey, I'm pretty sure I did this. I wasn't even trying to get any points back. I was just like, hey, professor, I know I did this wrong. For like a pride thing, I guess. I don't want her to think I'm dumb. She was like, oh, okay. So she went and looked at it, and so she graded it in front of me, and she was like, yeah, okay. And then she just took off 3 points. It was a 15-point question, and I got one multiple choice question wrong, which I should have looked at a little harder. But a 92, that's great. So I think with the extra credit that I got from doing the rest of the classroom activities, I think I should have an A in that class. So now I really got to lock in for Calc 2, because I currently have, I think it's an 89.89, no, 89.97 in that class. So whatever I get on this final is what I get in the class. It's currently 8 something, so I'm gonna go eat, go back to my dorm, and lock in. And then I take my exam, and then I move out. And I won't know my exam results for a while, probably. Actually, no, professor he always has the test graded by like the end of the day. He's crazy with how quickly he grades this stuff. So we'll see.
Chili's just commented, oh, it's vertical video. Chili's Bar and Grill just commented on my video, on my TikTok, about Chili's. Do I need to try Chili's? I keep seeing it on my For You page of everybody. That's hilarious. That's so funny. Calc. That is hilarious. I went and I checked my notifications and it said Chili's Bar and Grill. I'm gonna call my sisters. That exam could have gone way better. Could have gone way better. It's crazy how much better that exam could have gone. As of right now, there's a chance, no, I got a B in Calc. There's a chance I got a D. No, sorry, there's a chance I got a C. Probably not though. Pretty sure I'll end with a B.
I'm okay with that, I guess. But now, for 100%, I need an A for my MATLAB class. I have an 80 in my MATLAB class now. Dude, I really need this freaking stuff to get put in. Dude, we'll see. Checked out. Hoorah. Hoorah. Back in my room. I'm gonna look at the camera. Back in my room. I have unpacking to do, needless to say, but I said it anyways.
Guess what I did? I did that thing again. Time skip. Whoa. When recording the very last clip that you saw, I knew I didn't have an ending to the video, and I figured I'll do that later after I edit some. And then I procrastinated editing. So now that it's been a while and I've edited everything else in this video, now I can finally reveal my second semester final grades. Although I do still have to pull them up. For digital systems, it ended up being a B, but we kind of knew that already. I'm not surprised about that. I'm okay with that. My intro to engineering class didn't have a final besides the boat race, and I got an A on that project anyways, so I got an A in that class. The extra credit points for my engineering analysis and computation class got fixed, so I ended up getting an A in that class as well. But oh boy, Calculus 2. I thought I failed that exam really bad. But it doesn't matter how I thought I did because I got an A in that class! Big surprise for old Sammy boy. Don't know how. Don't know how. But yeah, second semester I got 3 A's and a B, which I am pleased with. I'm not even gonna pretend like I know what another video will be about, nor pretend when another video will be coming from me. I really like making videos, but oh my gosh, if I don't finish editing within like 2 weeks of filming, it's not gonna get done. But now I know that for future endeavors. With that being said, thank you for watching, and have a good one. I'm gonna really have to edit this footage though, because I am so pale.